So as I was editing this, I peeked at the general feedback again, and it turns out that there was at least one very serious report regarding the night vision and epileptic seizures, eye strain, that sort of stuff. Apparently this person, according to this person, which I won't show this time because I don't want to put that out there. Yeah. But anyway, this person said they spoke with Punch, and there will be a seizure warning at the start of the game at some point. Then edited later, it still hasn't, there's no warning yet. We don't know when or if the warning will be put in. And this report goes very, very in-depth. Again, I'm not going to post this out here. It's in the discussion channel. You'll be able to find it. This isn't something I feel comfortable posting. Like, this is this person's account of this personal topic. And yes, it's in a public area, but I don't want to post it. I'm sure you guys know what I'm getting at. It's not something I'm gonna do. Go look at it yourselves or what have you, but yeah, it's not good. So again, just be careful.
Trodon doesn't have a mimic, at least not yet. We are not sure about the mimic stuff. I don't know if we're gonna add that or not. If we do, how it's gonna work. Right now we are just get Venom done and then we think about mimic stuff. Why was Mimicry talked up so much just to not possibly come? I mean, we just mentioned it. We just mentioned. You guys talk about it, not we, I guess. I'm not saying it's not gonna come. But it doesn't need to be there on first release. I mean,
So one of the things I like to do with the streams is, when possible, I go over why I included the clip, and I'm gonna do that again for this one because in the previous stream it was obvious. We hadn't seen any of the things before, so now we're seeing them. There's no point in me saying, oh yeah, this was included because we haven't seen Galley. Duh, we haven't seen Galley, of course it's gonna be included. This one's a little bit more, in some cases, difficult, I guess. This one's pretty obvious. This one goes without saying. The mimicry thing has been talked about with Trudon since the very beginning. It's been mentioned repeatedly, and anytime someone was asking about, well, what's mimicry do? We'd either get the, we can't talk about that right now, or we'd get an answer of, well, we hope to do this, but we don't know. But it was never, he might not get it, or he might not get it on implementation. But aside from the obvious, I won't go too in-depth on my thoughts on this one, because if you know, you know. But I'm sure many others have said plenty on this. I don't need to add to it. It just, the possibility of it, even just the thought of it not getting the mimic, like even just as a throwaway, oh, it might not get it, it just really rubs me the wrong way, because that's been part of Trudon since the very start, and that's been in its description on Trello since the start and remains that way. And again, every time we've seen it mentioned, there was never, oh, it might not get it, even on first implementation. Which, I mean, would be kind of understandable, even if it kinda is odd, because usually we don't get creatures without their full set of abilities or whatever, but it's obvious why this one's included, and it's kind of difficult to... Let's just move on from this one and go on to something that I can talk in depth about.
What Cerato bite? I don't remember very well yet. But Cerato is like I guess it's similar to a Komodo dragon. You know, not like, oh, you are bitten, you die. No, I'm not sure if you're gonna create a new type of bacterial. Yeah, it could be like that. That's the concept, like a bacteria infection, something. But I'm not sure if you're gonna create a new type of effect, like bacteria, whatever, or if we just make like it decrease health over time, or blood, or blood I don't think, but maybe just affect your diet. You know, it's something to experiment. It's not set on stone. We also need to think on other dinosaurs in the future. We need to have more options so they have different effects, otherwise they all have the same special.
Now, the interesting part about Cerato's bite stuff, again, obvious why I included this one, it's talking about the septic bite we've heard little bits and pieces about every now and again. Personally, and this is talking way back, and I don't mean to go all theories on it, when I saw Cerato had a blue mouth similar to Troodon, I was kind of like, are they gonna do something about that then? Because usually there's a reason for color choices like that. I mean, the inside of their mouths aren't usually blue. They're almost always the exact same color. So I was like, that's an interesting choice. And then later on, it sounds like, you know, a Komodo dragon sort of deal, where there's venom and it goes over time and they'll just, you know, long haul attack something over the course of days, or however long it is. I think it was days. Because I remember seeing a documentary about this thing eons ago where a bunch of them were following I think it was some sort of wildebeest sort of thing. Some sort of large hoofed animal. I remember the people who did the documentary talking about it being very difficult for them emotionally, because you're watching this animal slowly perish over time and it's suffering big time. And there's just so many dragons that start to follow it around, and one of them will run in, get a bite in, and then run off, and they just kind of hang around and harass it the whole time. But anyway, I like that idea for Cerato quite a bit. I kind of hope it's a little bit of chip damage to the HP or something like that. Just a little itty bitty bit. Something that'll make him worth, you know, considering in a fight. Like, not overpowered or anything, I'm not asking that. I just mean something that'll be useful. Something you'll look at it and go, is it worth getting X effect or whatever? Like, do I want that sort of deal? But that's about all you can ask of most large-ish creatures anyhow, I guess. Moving on.
How does Radon Venom work? Does it drain health or stamina? It drains health, not stamina. I'm a little cold right now. Venom works in a very specific way. If you don't know how it works, it won't work. So that's why we want to explain it very well, so you guys understand it. If I explain, it may be confusing. That's why I avoid explaining. But basically, you just when you apply venom to someone, you can't like spam it. If you spam venom, it stops. Kinda. So you need to synchronize how much venom you apply. You apply a venom and you gotta wait. You wait the venom to spread the body of the enemy, then you can apply a second stack of venom, and you wait, and you apply a third. The third is the last stack, and it's the most effective one. That is shared between Trudons. So if you apply venom and immediately your friend also applies, it failed because you applied too fast. So the trick is to make those venoms to apply in the correct timing, and you need to synchronize it with your friends. For example, if you have 4 Trudon, if they all attack at the same time, it's not gonna work, you know. So it's quite difficult, but we have an idea to show when you are supposed to apply venom again. Like we have some ideas to how to show you for the Trudon. Oh, now it's time. Oh, not yet, you know. So basically it's damage. You increase the damage a lot if you apply venom correctly and in the right time. But it's basically something like that.
Okay, so it started kind of about Cerato and then it switched to Trudon, but it sounds like Cerato's does do health, so yay! But regarding Trudons, interesting. Again, obvious why I chose this clip. Prior to this, because Filipe said all this stuff in chat after the stream at some point. But prior to this, we had no description of how Trudon's stuff worked. It was always, can't share that right now, can't do anything about that right now, don't know the details right now, that sort of stuff. So this is the first solid description that we've got. And then he basically said the same thing more or less in the Discord later on. So that was in a video, had venom in the title, don't know. Anyway, so that was really interesting. The first thing that came to my mind though, and this is just purely from my mind, I don't know how it's gonna work or anything. But when I heard this initially, I was like, well, I mean, if you have to synchronize it that much, wouldn't it just be a bigger advantage to be a singular Trudon? Because, yeah. Because then you risk having some dipsquit come along and go, your stack's gone. Later, nerd. Sort of thing. Or both of you attacking at the same time, that sort of stuff. Which, again, is the point of it being challenging. But it was more, unless venom is limited quite a bit in some way, which animals in real life do, as we all know. They have a certain amount they can use and then it'll regenerate over time, kind of like a skunk spray, all that sort of stuff. So they're very careful with how they use it. So again, purely my thought process was, unless it's very limited, wouldn't it just be a bigger advantage to be hanging out on your own and you can manage your own stack by yourself? Unless you're going after something like super big, I guess, but even then, still, yeah? It just seemed like more of a thing that, well, you're in control of your own stacks, you're in control of everything, unless you need another one in order to place it, which would nullify single play, so I don't think that's how it's going to work, and that's theories, which I don't want to get into at all. But that was my initial thought, like, wouldn't then a solo Trudon be an advantage of some sort? Unless, again, some sort of cooldown, some sort of limiter, blah blah blah, but anyway, that was my initial thought when I heard this. It's probably not going to work that way because they put so much focus on being in a group and all that stuff, but that's the first thing that came to my mind when I heard the description. I can't help it, that's just how I thought of it. But again, it's probably going to work super different, and you'll need a group and stuff, but hopefully not too big of a group, because to be honest, I don't really play in groups anymore. All my friends ditched. so I haven't done any actual group stuff. So when I play Trudon, I'll end up being all by myself. Unless I end up getting in with a group at some point, but honestly, I've never really... I've done more mixed grouping, oh no, the horror, than I have same species grouping. Because, to be honest, I've had more issues with the same species than I have other different species when it comes to working with them. It's just been how it be. I imagine it's the mindset of, oh, well, others will come closer to you, so it's easier to kill. But that's just been my experience, so I don't usually go into groups and stuff like that. So yeah, interesting. He continues on a little bit more, and so we'll go on to that instead of sticking to this too long. It's gonna be a long enough video as it is. I can't keep doing this, man. That is, I mean, rambling about the same thing again and again. Rambling is what I do, so I can't help it. I mean, I could if I scripted it or whatever, but honestly, at that point, it becomes more of a mess than it's worth. Because I trip over my words, and then I'm like, oh, but I didn't read that properly, so now I gotta go back, and waves hand. No, I'll just stick to it as is. Anyway, next.
Sounds fun and chunky. Yeah, it is actually, but we need to find a way to show to the Troodon player when it's supposed to use it. Otherwise, it's kind of difficult to synchronize, right? You don't know when. Oh, when I'm supposed to apply the second Venom stack. How long I need to wait. It needs to have something that shows you, ooh, now it's time. We have an idea of showing like the heart of the enemy, the heart. Flashes out in the model, something like that, or the color may change. I don't know. We will have to work on that.
The visual indicator was something I found interesting as well. Again, he's gonna go on about this a little bit more, but I'm gonna stop it here and get a little bit in and then continue on. But anyway, this was included, obvious reasons. Again, they're considering various ways to implement a way to show Trudon what the heck it's supposed to do next. Because otherwise, how on earth are you supposed to know there's some secret cooldown, or else you nullify your own venom for some reason or another? So, interesting idea. He mentions showing the heart within the creature or something like that. For me, it would have to be I would think, and they talk about visibility in a moment, but in a battle situation and stuff, unless that heart is incredibly bright, and he talks about color blindness as well, you're gonna have to be really, really careful about how you show that, because it's gonna be very difficult to see. Like, I'm gonna go to IDV for a hot second. They do a heartbeat effect in a survivor when there's a killer nearby. And yeah, you can definitely see it on your own guy, but if you're looking around, it's also incredibly easy to just tune it out, ignore it, not see it. And seeing it on a teammate, which would be this sort of situation, you're seeing it on the enemy, even though it's a big purple glowy thing, it could in theory be difficult to see, especially in a fighting situation, which he goes into a little bit in a moment. So my initial thought would be something above the creature, something that hangs out over the top, but then we're diving into the territory of, is it too, what do we call it, immersion breaking or something like that? Where you see something floating above the creature. But then again, you have names that do the same thing. So my thought was have something like the heart that he mentioned, just maybe not red because he again goes into color blindness in a moment, and it has some sort of effect around it. Maybe it glows more or less, or if it like gets bigger or smaller depending on the cooldown. I don't know. I know, again, IDV, going back to it, there's a character, the Enchantress, where she can stun an enemy, but her indication for it is an icon floating above the enemy's head. So it's very clear when she can stun. And when she does it, there's an effect as well, so you know what's going on. Instead of, oh, I'm stunned for no reason, why'd my character do this? No, you know exactly what happened, she did it. So I'm, again, this is purely me just shooting random thoughts, but something over the head to me would seem like a safe option, rather than something inside the creature itself, because then you have to take into account the creature's skin. If it has a red skin or a gray skin or what have you, is it going to be difficult to see the heart? The size of the creature, will that play into effect how difficult or easy the heart is to see? This is assuming, again, the heart thing was chosen. Whatever. So, yeah, above the head was what came to mind, but again, then you go back to the immersion thing, but then you go back to the username thing, and it just... the balance between looking realistic and being a game and needing to tell the creature, hey, this is what you do, follow these instructions, and make it very clear. Like, we have the compass, and in theory the compass could be used, maybe you could sniff it in something, but that seems too clunky. Maybe sniffing would cause some sort of effect to show up, but then you'd have to... I mean, I constantly sniff anyway, but just throwing random stuff out there, again, just out of the blue, little thoughts that popped into my mind sort of thing. I'm not saying any of these things will be what happens, but these were ideas that I thought of. Above the head just seemed, or not the head, the dino, like a username, seemed to be the clearest, because it would pick out the dino and stuff, but then, well, if Trudon's gonna go... I don't want to get into theory stuff, but you would have to consider the fact that the enemy might or might not be able to hide, but they've talked about tracking stuff with venom offhandedly. I don't know if that's going to be related at all. But if the marker's clear, then that will already disable some sort of hiding. It goes deep, man. I don't know what it'll look like, but those were my initial thoughts on it. Something above the head just seemed easiest to see, because it won't be cluttered in any way. It won't be blocked by skins or any of that. It'll just be right up there like a username just hanging. And I imagine the person playing the creature might... well, it might not... I don't want to go into that. No, I'm not gonna touch it. No theories here. Mostly. Many thoughts. It's a very interesting idea, and I'm very curious to see if they can manage to do it in a good way.
Animation of the dinosaur that is poison like a cough. Maybe. But that's very easy to miss, you know. If during the battle people are moving and you may not see the head movement, so it needs to be something more obvious. Otherwise you won't be able to use it very well. A loud cough would be a good indicator, but we will see. Could be sound, could be a particle effect, could be something in the model. We needed to think about people that have color blindness, so it cannot be a color, it needs something more obvious. It sounds simple, but oh my god, what do we do, you know?
And here's the next part. We already touched on most of this just a moment ago, but the idea of it being a sound is pretty neat. Like, maybe the creature gives out this giant bellow or something. That would be incredibly difficult to miss. It would also, you know, run the risk of attracting other things nearby, which would be interesting in another way. It could have a really neat use, but again, that's just going purely off of this, and again, it is obvious why I chose this clip. It's more pondering about what sort of things might or might not be done regarding, you know, alerting the player to venom stuff. So, pretty neat. I guess. I mean, in theory, people could base suggestions off of this. Whether or not they'd be seen, don't know. But, I mean, it's nice for that sort of stuff, you know, thinking of suggestions or ways in which it could be done, as long as they don't go overboard, as some tend to do. But it's fun. Just thinking about, oh, what if they made it, you know, scream or cry or something when the stack can be placed. My next question would be, I wonder how long of a grace period you have in order to place that next stack. Because you have to get up close again, and that would be where numbers comes in handy, but I don't know. I guess it would depend. But that would be my next big think regarding that. Like, how long does the prey item have to be away in order for the stack to go away? And then I'd wonder, well, yeah, it would probably work just fine. Like, say another Troodon sees a guy just hanging out with a stack, and it's like, oh my goodness, I can continue on! I imagine it'll have to work like that because of groups, but it amused me to think, you know, imagine getting away from, like, a pack of Troodons, or just one, or whatever, and you're settling down, trying to heal from the war, and then another little guy comes up and he's like, I can continue my family's legacy. That would be kind of amusing. I mean, not so amusing for the person who just endured the fight, but moments like that would certainly be like finding a... I mean, it'd be different, but similar to when you find like a carcass or something. It's like, yay, I'm saved! Or, you know, all this effort has already been done for me, sort of thing. Oh, this first stack's already here, now I just have to wait until I can apply the next one. Or something like that. Or maybe he can already apply the next one. Don't know, but that'd be kind of amusing. But that's completely off topic and not something I should be rambling about, but the thought occurred and it's an amusing one, so I was like, oh, that'd be kind of cool. But don't know. I haven't heard anything about any of that, so we'll see when we see.
Will you be able to build immunity to venom? That's a good question, man. I don't know. Is it fair to be immune to a special ability? Doesn't sound good, but... Venom resistant? Yeah, that sounds better. Let's say, as I was mentioned before, you remember the slot combinations? Maybe one combination could be something like that. More venom resistant, more bleed resistant, whatever.
This one, again, I agree. Immunity seems kind of... like, I could see a Troodon being immune to venom, or maybe another itty-bitty creature that's its, you know, ability, so to speak. Like a king snake with a rattlesnake sort of deal, where the king snake is very much immune to rattlesnake venom and will prey upon them, sort of thing. That sort of situation, yes, I could see that. But allowing a player to gain immunity, that would kind of suck. Especially, yeah, like no, I'm not gonna go into that, but it would suck. Let's just put it that way. Like, imagine walking up on someone and then it's immune. And you'd need some sort of visual marker for that, or else the Troodon's gonna be biting it and nothing's gonna happen. Or maybe it shows something after the first bite, or regardless, it's still just a huge waste and risk for the Troodon, and it would be kind of sucky, honestly. It just stink. I mean, they're a tiny baby enough, just, yeah. Resistance, yeah, totally. That would make sense. And I almost thought I remember... wasn't Mimney, or little hippo thing, wasn't that mentioned to have some sort of venom resistance? I swear I remember that. Casually looks at the, oh wait, it's not gonna be on the roadmap, never mind. I don't remember, but I thought, but maybe not. I don't remember anymore, but I mean, resistance would be pretty neat. And then the slot thing, I think, I didn't see it while I was going through my recording, so either I missed it, which is entirely possible, or it was within the first, like, half an hour to an hour, because I got to the recording it late. I got the alert and I didn't see it, and so I was a bit late. So I think this is in relation to the diet thing that he mentioned in Discord later, where you can, like, quote-unquote combine some stuff to make a thing or whatever, like choose a perk or... Well, would it be called a perk? Is it a perk? Whatever they call it. Anyway, that sort of thing. I think that's referencing the diet thing that he mentioned in Discord, which, again, in another video thingy-majiggy. So I think that's what he means here. And that sort of thing, yeah, I could see it. And that'd be super useful. And it would be something the player works towards rather than just something that kind of happens or whatever. Like, say the immunity was built up by being bitten by a bunch of Troodons and surviving. That's kind of cool. But in this case, it's something you'd have to invest into using the diet thing, and it'd make diets a little bit more interesting, and so on and so forth. So that would be kind of interesting. Yeah. But we will see how or if they do it. And I suppose it would depend on the creature in the end, how resistant it ends up being, and all that other fun stuff, if they went that route.
Why are we talking about Commodos? You know, we don't have Commodos in game. Even if we had, we don't need to do exactly as life. Megalania. Right? But Megalania could be opposite. Its skins could have some kind of bacteria shit that if you bite you get sick, for example. Who knows?
Now this one was a little bit interesting. Again, it probably doesn't mean much. I included it on the off chance that it does mean something down the line, because we've had stuff like that where they'll mention something offhandedly and then a while later, bam, there it is, sort of thing. But Megalania being the opposite of a Komodo dragon and being, you know, toxic to bite on and stuff, an interesting idea. Especially if you apply it on bite, not just when you eat it, but when you bite into it. Like choosing to chip away your health or whatever effect it has, or vomit or what have you. That's mildly interesting. It'd be neat if it had a little bit of both. Like, there's very, very few creatures in nature that are both venomous and poisonous, but it does exist. And that would be something kind of interesting to put into a game like this. So, again, it probably doesn't mean anything, but I purely included it because it's an interesting idea. It'd be neat if they did something like that. But, don't know. It's probably not going to mean anything, but on the off chance it does, it was like, toss it in. There you go.
Will you able to buck Troodons off like you can with you? Yeah, same thing. Does Ceratosaurus already have the bite force, Filipe? No, we don't.
Yeah, pretty self-explanatory as to why I chose this one. I mean, we want to know if you can buck off Troodons, and it sounds like you can, which, I mean, I'm sure most of us kind of figured as much, because I assume it's going to be copy pasta of Utah, but with venom, but still, figured toss it in, confirmation, yada yada.
At some point, it seems to me that the idea of a fog night vision was mentioned. Why did this idea disappear? The idea didn't disappear. We can potentially still try that. Yeah, night vision is not programming thing actually. It's an artistic thing. It's a shader thing, kinda, you know. Yeah, it's a shader artist. We didn't even touch night vision. The only thing I did for night vision is to toggle it on and off. So I can't help much about that. it's pretty much a shader, how it looks, how it affects other shades nearby. Can we use it to fix gamma exploit, you know? So I can't really. But personally, I like the idea of a fog, kind of a fog thing, something that's thicker the further away it is. But a fog itself is not enough. You need more. What? More. Do we make the night sky, the night light, brighter or not? I really don't know, and that's not exactly a thing for me to spend time with. You know, it's not related to programming. I should focus on programming and let other people do what they know the best, better than me, of course.
A fog idea for night vision does sound pretty neat. It'd be interesting to see how it looked, and I mean, in general, it seems like something that would fit well with a game like this. Like, fog and horror kind of just go hand in hand. Like, I love fog, but we'll see if that sort of thing ever really happens. I don't know, but it sounds like it could have been an interesting idea if they ever went with it. I don't know if that'll be the case, but it was an interesting idea to hear about. And in theory, it sounds like it would have been better, but I guess I don't know. The other thing, the shader thing, very interesting. I thought I misheard it a little bit at first, but definitely worth noting. So I tossed that in as well.
Did you guys look at the feedback tab on Discord sometimes? Many people saying they are getting headaches and eye strain because of the new night vision. It also happened to me. They give great suggestions for quick term solutions. Quick solutions are not solutions, but yeah, if people are getting headaches or whatever, then we might need to change it. Night vision can't cause epileptic episodes. I don't know about that. The problem is to know if it's true or not. It's very common, people just fucking lie about everything. And I'm not even kidding. People will go out there, oh, they nerfed Dino in the last update, and we literally changed absolutely nothing. And that becomes a big thing, and then, no, we didn't touch anything. So when people say, oh, people are getting headaches with night vision, okay, but is that true, or is just some bullshit because you don't like night vision, which is different? You know, so it could be true that that black and white, it's not exactly white, but can get to. I'm not saying that everyone is lying. Maybe it's true, but the problem is, how do we know?
Included for obvious reasons, and I'm not going to touch on most of it for obvious reasons, but I will talk about night vision because that's been a topic since it was shown. Personally, I haven't played the update just yet. I have been too busy. Even doing this video has eaten too far into my free time than I would like. But I've seen pictures and little teeny tiny bits of moving around with it, and honestly, I don't like how it looks at all. It could have been done a bajillion times better. Like, there were other game examples that people posted. I don't know what games they were, but they were better looking ones that could have been, you know, taken into consideration. Even Legacy, which I'm not saying that was good night vision, but even Legacy looked better. So it's like, well, there's that. I know in Left 4 Dead they had vision changes when you were playing like the infected, for instance, when you're spawning versus when you're actually roaming around and stuff. Maybe look at that and see what sort of stuff could be taken. I don't know, man. Just something else. Because, for one, it looks ugly. But, two, it sounds like there's an incredibly large amount of people saying that it's hurting them. And even if a small amount could be lying, the huge amount of them that are saying it, and like, and again, he didn't say, oh, all of them are lying. That's not what I'm saying, and I'm not saying he's saying that. But I'm saying, hypothetically, even if this massive amount of people were lying, isn't that worth taking into consideration why? Like, I don't know if this part got cut or not, or if it will get cut, because I'm redoing this. But I had mentioned that in the Discord, this is one of the few things I've seen people in the feedback just unanimously dislike. There's been a few things, but this is definitely one of the bigger ones. And probably part of that is because it eats up like half the gameplay. It's nighttime. And I swear most of this game is in darkness. So if you're staring at this for that long and you don't like it, gee whiz, a lot of people are gonna get pretty upset. Or just log out, but why not do both? Get upset and log out, you know? Be productive. But anyway, I don't like it. I won't say I'm getting headaches or anything because I haven't played it, but I could see how it could by how it looks. But I don't know, man. Maybe I should ask my motion sickness friend to play it and see if she gets issues or something. Torture her for science or whatever. But anyway, yeah. There it is, the night vision section. I don't like it, but I'm not gonna say too much more, I guess.
Yeah, you guys can give feedback. Personally, I find difficult to trust. Honestly, I not try to offend anyone. I simply... that is too much bullshit. So what we do, we usually get feedback from people that we trust. For example, Kie. But sometimes Kie doesn't have the numbers to be as accurate as... So we may try with a stress testing team, but I'm very skeptical there as well. Why not let the public stress test you? Because of what I just said. We can't trust absolutely anything you guys said. If you have 1,000 people on the server, half is gonna say, hey, Carno is too weak. The other half is gonna say, Carno is too strong. So what the fuck do we do? I guess we do nothing, because that sounds balanced then. That applies to everything. We just can't trust anything because... the dryo evade use it to work in a certain way that we change it based on your feedback. Actually, oh, I don't like pressing a button to go left and another button to go right, or holding Alt to go left. Why not make it camera based? And we did, and it sucks. So now we have to change again because you guys complained enough for us to change, but it made it much worse. So
again, obvious why this one is in here, and again, I'm not touching on most of it for too long. I did have a prior recording for this one where I went on about, you know, there's a part of me that gets it, this community can suck, and a lot of the suggestions, if you can even call them that, made are absolutely trash. But then there are ones that are fantastic, well written, have visual, you know, not write-ups, visual, like, drawings or edits, of what they mean. Like, there was a night vision one eons ago where it was like a blue-tinted, foggy thing that just looked absolutely fantastic. No idea where that was, but it had a ton of references. It had this massive amount of text to go with it about how it could be done, details about it, all that fun stuff. But in the end, I think it's probably just best to leave this where it be and say, yeah, there's a part of me that gets it, sure. But, the feedback section, I guess, shouldn't exist if, for the most part, it's just gonna be ignored, even though some of the feedback has been taken, which is another confusing part, because it has been, you know, read every so often. And, like, the Hipsy Nest was taken in. The Carno's stupid sitting before was changed because everyone absolutely hated it. So yeah, there's that. I'm trying to be at least minusculely neutral, as you can tell. But anyway, what was that other thing that I was going to say on this? Oh yeah, the Dryo thing. Oh, okay, yeah, now I remember. Originally I had a really long rant about how I hate it when companies blame users for them implementing stuff incorrectly. Like, mini games have it where wherever you look, that's where you go, because it's easy, instead of having to press some weird button. Like, it sounds like a bad port to a racing game when you have to press weird buttons in order to go certain ways. It feels bad to control, and it doesn't work. It's stupid. And for this video, I think that's about good for now. I was originally gonna want to put them all in the same video, but as I'm doing this now, it's approaching an hour, and it's gonna be over an hour if I put them both together, and people these days most don't want to sit there for an hour and watch one singular video. They prefer to watch it in pieces, and it'll give me a bit more time to actually work on the second part, because the second part I don't have done yet. I got all these bits done decently fast after the first few things I had to do. And so I'm hoping the next part, I hope I can finish it today and then get it out tomorrow, but we'll see if that happens. Anyway, I guess sum up thoughts about the stream itself. It was informative. We got to see a lot of stuff, which the dinosaur stuff I've already posted, so there's that. There was some nice Q&A stuff that we got some insight on, like the venom mechanic stuff. We hadn't had any descriptions prior to that. It was nice to finally hear about it. A little bit on Cerato's bite as well, which has barely been talked about at all. I think I remember maybe one or two other posts about it. But yeah, overall, interesting. This one took a while. I've been busy lately, and so it took a little bit longer because I wasn't able to edit the stream while watching it, which cuts the time in half, basically, because I can start recording, stop recording, and then take that chunk, start working on it, and then take the next chunk, and again and again and again until the stream's done. In the past, that's actually how a few of them have come out almost immediately after the stream, because I was able to work on it as the stream was going. So it got out very, very quickly. But I wasn't able to do that for this one, so it took longer to go through it. Q&A ones always take longer on top of that, because I actually have to listen to it instead of skimming certain ways. I mentioned briefly in a Q&A a while ago that one of the ways I do the streams, like Amarox for example, he doesn't talk a whole lot during his, so the volume thingy-majig, the volume waves in Vegas will generally, sometimes, unless he's mumbling, show where he's talking. Filipe's is somewhat similar. He'll go quiet for long periods of time. I don't actually know if the clip I'm thinking of is in this batch or if it's going to be in the next one. But he started talking, and then he said "but," and then it trailed off after that. And he never continued what he was saying because he was looking at the chat. I meant to put a note on that one, but I don't know if it's in this batch. I've been having to try to rush through this. It's taken long enough as it is. It's been almost a week since that stream posted, and it's absolutely driving me insane. I need to get this done. I'm having to put a bunch of other stuff, personal stuff, not work-related stuff, of course, but a lot of stuff that I wanted to do I have to push off until this is done, because, yeah. And yeah, I know other people have already posted it, but that doesn't mean I'm not gonna post it too. I mean, that's like all of YouTube. You're not just gonna go to someone and go all, oh hey, this person already played that visual novel. There's no reason for you to play it like it's the exact same. And it's like, well, yes, but different people are gonna put it together in different ways, is what I'm saying. And some clips might be included in those that weren't in this one, and I might include some that the others didn't, is another thing. Aside from when people cannibalize each other's footage, which is incredibly common, when everyone edits it on their own, different people will include different things, because to them this might be important, but to me it might not be. Or I won't include it because I've heard it a billion times, and I don't need to put it in again. Or I might have completely missed it, but someone else got it. And so that person will have something in their thing that I don't have in mine. It's that sort of thing. Like, when you're picking and choosing what goes in and what goes out, different people are gonna have different things. That's flat out how it is, unless someone literally... Well, even then, because if that person has literally the entire stream posted, I'm gonna have vastly different stuff. Because I'm not gonna include this thing, or that thing, or that thing. And then there was one that I actually was going to include, but I scrapped it at one point, and then I was like, well, no, wait, I should probably use that. And then I couldn't find it again, because no way am I going through hours and hours of footage again. But it wasn't very important anyway. It was just about, it was more or less Filipe saying that he didn't like doing the streams. And it fit with something else that he was saying, and I was gonna include it there, but then I was like, well, no, there's no reason, so I scrapped it. And then later on I was like, well, I kind of want it back in, but I don't know where it is anymore, so it's gone. Someone else might have it, though, because, I mean, I have no reason to watch the other videos. I've already watched the stream. I'm not gonna go through that again. And in my case, I missed the first half hour to an hour of the stream because I got the alert, but I didn't see it. Like, it went through, but I didn't see it. So I couldn't start recording it, and yeah. So I definitely had stuff, less stuff in some ways than others might, but that's how it is. That's just how it be. And when it comes to commentary ones, different people say different things. Which is why video games stuff is the thing. Like, you can watch 3 different people play the same visual novel, but each one's gonna interpret it a different way. That's originally, however, why I didn't do commentary on mine. Because the way I understand something might not be the way it was intended. It might not be what was exactly said and I misheard it, which has happened. Or it could be just... It could be the way that it was intended to be said. I don't know. So I didn't want to comment on stuff like that, because that's one of the biggest ways how things like rumors and misinformation starts to spread, because, oh, but this person said that this is what that person said, but it got lost in translation somewhere along the way, and so the way I heard it might not have been the way it was actually said / meant to be understood. That's a poor way of that's a bad way of describing it, but you guys know what I mean. It's very easy to... It's like that game Telephone, that old children's game, I don't even know if it's still around anymore, where you would whisper something in someone's ear, and then that would go around a circle of kids. And by the end, the person's supposed to say what they heard. And usually it's something completely different than what was originally said. It's that sort of thing. That's why I wanted to put them there without any sort of comment, because the way I say, oh, well, I think it means this, and it could work like that, it might be completely and utterly wrong, and usually probably is going to be completely and utterly wrong. But that's how it is. So, yeah. But the night vision, yeah. Maybe someday we'll hear about that. I think the person's been talking about it for like a week now. Is the first post from the 23rd? Yeah, I think it might be. So basically the same day the stream was done. And I wonder now, during the stream he talks about someone in chat saying it's a trigger for epilepsy. And I'm almost wondering it could have been that person mentioning it. I don't know, though, because I didn't see the chat. I don't look at chat, I just record. I only have one monitor. And even if I were to be watching the stream, I wouldn't be watching it for the chat. I watch it for the stuff, and then I'll be either editing it actively or looking for places where I can stop the recording, start the recording, and then start editing. So most of the times I don't even see the streams how they're, you know, intended to be, where you just kind of hang out and watch. I'll see them in bits and pieces as I edit them. But yeah. Anyway, if I had to go through this whole thing again, there were parts I kind of wanted to edit, and I just didn't have time to go back, re-record, and then mess everything around. The reason the night vision thing was put at the front, well, for one, duh, but two, I had to move all of the stuff all at once, or else it would get shuffled around. The way I moved the Allosaurus on the side there, it's, I'm sure there's a better way of doing it, but I don't know it. And so instead I have to, like, paste a bunch of little pictures there. And so every time he moves, that's a new picture. And, having to rearrange things to time with that, and the select all, and the... Yeah, it just... I didn't want to do it, so everything's recorded is done and put there, but, I think with the mimicry one, I definitely would have wanted to go back and be like, yeah, I know, hey, you're getting all caught up on one little line that's just kind of tossed out, and he says it's not a guarantee, it's not gonna be in the game, but, it's the fact that it was even said at all. That is my point, and the point I was trying to make and not doing very well. The fact that the creature was touted as being this and might never get that is... there's something very wrong there. It'd be like Rex, how it's famous for its bite force, and then it turns out it has like one of the weakest bites, or they won't even include some sort of bite force, like fractures, for instance. Something like that. Rex was known for fractures, because it has this bone-crushing bite, and then it turns out Rex doesn't fracture anything when it bites. It just bites things like any other creature without any sort of fracture. People would be kind of, but in this case it's a whole new ability, and it's there to help it survive. And so it's less of an extra, like the dino's vertical lunge, that's an extra. Like, it's not vital to Dino in any way. With Troodon, it's been described as something, it's a tool to help it survive, which is the point of the game. So you're taking a tool away, like with Dryo and its burrow. And we know how Dryo is right now, so it's like, Like, Troodon at least still will have its venom, but, we'll see how well that helps it. And I don't know how Mimicry would help it. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know how it would work, I don't know how it would be used. But that's still something it was described as, so there you go. Anyway, I'm done there. And with that, for real this time, I will consider this one done as it is. I think it's almost, it's a little over an hour, but I won't split this one. It's already going to be split as it is. I'm not going to split it again. There's no point. So, it is done now. It is free, and hopefully you guys enjoy watching it, I guess. I'll have part 2 hopefully on Sunday, like I mentioned. Don't know though, depends on if something catastrophic happens, if Vegas misbehaves, who knows. But I'm hoping for Sunday, so fingers crossed. We can do this, man. We got this, I hope. But I hope you guys have been doing well. Thank you to those who are sticking around this long. Like, holy crap, guys, it's like an hour. What are you doing, man? I mean, I say that, but I'll play videos that are several hours if I'm really invested, so... one of us, I guess. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I hope it was informative. I know my commentary isn't that great, and I know I do a lot of ums and likes and ahs and and I trip over my words, and I could edit it all out, but then it ends up being choppy because I'm talking too fast, which is probably why I'm tripping over my words. I need to slow down, but maybe someday I'll do that. I did take public speaking, believe it or not, and I had to pass it in order to graduate for some reason. But, I just, it's not worth it, man. Like, there's people who make scripted videos and they're very well thought out and done, but the way I've done these are basically, I think the word would be ad-lib. Just off the cuff. Most of the times they're done in one go, but other times, a few of them, in this video for instance, I might have to redo because it's like, oh well, I forgot to mention this, or I needed to do that, or I made a mistake, like a big one, not just tripping over my words or going like an actual mistake of some sort. But no one cares. I mean, if you guys want a professional essay, you wouldn't be here now, would you? It's not like the devs are speaking in Times New Roman 12-inch or 12-pixel font with their sources at the bottom. No. We're just normal people doing normal things. But anyhow, it's done. We're done. All done. I need to finish the rest of this video. Well, the next video, I guess I should say. So, goodbye everyone. Have a great day, night, whatever. Have fun. Goodbye.
Thank you.